Peace, 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 peace. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Get up. This is your rising message. Get up. Get up. Rise and shine, as my grandma would say, or get yo. That's GETTCHOOOOOOO. Those of you that grew up in the trenches, or grew up in said environments, when grandma say get yo, sometimes it was other words added behind that. Get your aspirin up now and get ready to go to school. Get your ass up and get ready to go to school. But I ain't talking about the regular school. I'm talking about the school of life. Get your ass. That's probably be my intro. Get your ass up and get ready for the school of life. Are you ready? It's okay not to be ready. Sometimes, we get to school, we forgot our belt. Let's give honor to Source, the Creator, the Most High, whatever your higher power is. Just give honor to where we are today and gratitude. It's funny because I don't know about y'all, but I'm finna get into something comical. Because, sometimes I be on here, y'all be, he's so serious. Why is he taking life so serious? Nah, man, I'm the most goofiest person. Those who really know me, sometimes, I can let life, it's a balance, but I am very much goofy. And that being said, I don't know why this coming to me, but let me tell y'all something. I've been in a place where how long you can have something around you don't even realize like it's right there until you like actually become aware of it. And what I mean by this is like this ain't nothing serious, but in the way it is. Shout out to those who have to use a string, because these are some people even back in the day had to use a string for a belt. Yeah. Let's just say I eventually, for the past, let me see, a couple cycles, I had a belt the whole time in my luggage, but I had forgot. Like, I got a whole new belt. But for the past month, going places, when I had to wear certain pants, I've been wearing a shoestring. Yep. Those real ones know. I ain't ashamed or guilty of it all, because every time I go to the bathroom, I be like, bro, I really got a shoestring on. When I go out in public, so I'm like, hey, it is what it is. It just remind me of what I've done in the past. There were times I even went to school or in certain places where I was like, man, you know what? This shoestring came in handy. And I might have got joked on it in the past when I was a kid, but hey, let me tell you something. Those who know, you know. And the reason I'm saying this now, because it's funny now, because I'm finally wiping tears of joy in a while, but it ain't just tears of joy. There's tears of, like joy and pain, because I view pain in a different way as well. My perspective also is like, tears of joy is like to see how far you've come. When the last time have you cried a soul cry? I'm talking about to the depths of yourself, like a soul cry of seeing how far you've come. And I don't just mean just said success and, this is what I've obtained. Hey, that's great in itself. I'm not discrediting that at all or devaluing that in any way. I'm just talking about mentally, emotionally, not just physically where you are, but I'm talking about from an emotional place, a mental place, a spiritual place of seeing how far you've come and be like, man, wow. Like, I've been in the gratitude early, and I'm going to give y'all a song reference that really reminded me of like how grateful, not just bringing up, some memories and some emotions, because, that's a part of life. Those memories that come up that can be painful, it's still to remind you of the joy that where you are and an awareness. And so that being said, this song reference is perfect. Because again, that shoestring still reminded me of memories where I had people picked on me, but it still reminded me of the fact of like, sometimes people have a caregiver or a parent that's not able to afford a belt. There's times where people not able to at that moment get shoes and get this and get that, and they're ridiculed and they're picked on. Hold on, okay, there we go. And shout out to people who know exactly what I'm talking about, who have risen out of the survival mentality and the survival mindset, the same thing, or just life in itself, and then being able to be consistent with having a more of abundant mindset, or awareness on life. Like, that is not an easy task at first when you're trying to live a life, or live a life where staying within your own means is still being abundant. That don't mean you gotta have millions of dollars and live in the biggest house and drive the fanciest cars. No, living within your own means, you still abundant. I've said before on another video that another man's abundance or life can be a curse to another man and or woman. And the reason I say that is because we can sometimes want things, but that doesn't mean like we're ready for what comes with it. We can want the lives of other people, but what about being grateful that you have something that where you can wake up and do have something to eat, and do have a place where you can lay your head? I've been there. I know what it is to lay on them floors, when you're real young, real young, and you know how you grow up together. And I know friends and stuff that grew up together, like they had to rest in the same bed when grandma didn't have money to get, beds and stuff. You had to grow up together. Yeah. Real life, like growing, like some, I don't like the term poverty, but it's just like, it's a beautiful thing just to see how far you've come. When the last time you cried or gave gratitude to see how far you have blossomed? And the song reference I'm gonna get right into before I get more into depth about everything else is listen to Joy and Pain by Maze featuring Frankie Beverly. I used to say Frankie Beverly and Maze, but it's called Joy and Pain. And on the song he had mentioned, he said, where there's a flower, there's a sun and the rain. And that reminds me again of how I look at the feminine and masculine principles. How you see a tree. The tree, you see the external aspect, which is the physical, but the spiritual aspect as well is like the roots. So that's like the feminine and masculine aspect, which is one and the same. The sun and the rain, or some may say the sun and the moon. But what I'm getting at is that the beauty of what he's saying is that, he said where there's a flower, there's a sun and the rain, and they're both one and the same. And I was like, wow, like take a moment and ponder on that. And really look at the fact of like how without the pain of those relationships or childhood experiences, without the pain of having to walk away or be to experience maybe some childhood traumas or just whatever that has caused you some type of pain or discomfort. Without that experience in itself, how would you have become and mold yourself into who you are now, and still are molding and still are shaping your life? Because healing in itself is a lifelong journey. There are still things that still comes up for me that I sit here and ponder on, and I just be like, wow, how? And it used to be like, not just how, but it used to be like, why? I used to question the creator or the Most High, be like, why me? But then when I actually had to get in the place of gratitude and having a more of abundant mindset, I realized, like, why not me? And the beauty of that again is like when he mentioned like where there's a flower, there's a sun and a rain. And so that was a channeling where like I really started getting emotional, because when I was on the road, I was like, man, like, wow, like take a moment and take it all in, because look at where you just come from in a few cycles, months, just a year in itself. And those who have followed me know, from the years or a year or so, just certain things that have been mentioned or I've shared with you all, didn't have to. And I don't mean that in the sense of like in a selfish way. It's just like I really didn't have to, but I did. But it's just a simple fact of like how I told myself, like, the growth from all of this it's reminding me of what he mentioned, like, where there's a flower, there's a sun and a rain. And I'm like, man, that's what really hit me, boy. That's when I start, like, for a while, learning to cry tears of joy, because again, if you're around people, you know, a lot of us can relate to this, and some of us can, and if you don't, you know, let the rest fly. But we know what it is to grow up in environments where there's always, you know, the bickering, the gossiping, you know, people who grew up in survival mindsets or environments where they're more focused on the pain, they're more focused on the physical rather than the internal, their spiritual well-being. They're more focused on their physical well-being and the laboring and chasing this and chasing that without really seeing the balance in focusing on their emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, and how that ties and connects to their physical well-being. And with this awareness, I've learned to just accept, like, I was called, just like many, whether you want to use the term chosen or just selected to bring forth and restore balance within myself and or lineage, you know, ancestrally. And with that, you're talking about facing the storms, you know, the internal storms, the things people don't see, the things you got to bring to your career, whether you want to use career or job or whatever, the things that people don't see outside of that, and you're told not to bring it in, and, you know, keep it professional, keep it a business. And, you know, I was telling someone, you're asking people, that's very difficult for a lot of people who never witnessed that or never experienced it to not be able to do that. And I'm going to tell you from experience, you know, it's very, like, when I used to be somewhere on a position or something, I don't know why I could never take it very seriously, because I just never I'll be so detached and not attached to the fact of, like, this is my all be all. What I've learned, and I want to share with you all, is like how I'm gonna use this, I think in a video before, we finally like repotted these 2 flowers, right? And we finally repotted these 2 flowers, and the beauty of it all is how sometimes you just meet a total, like, just stranger or someone that you don't know, but there's a connection deep, and sometimes they offer that support, you know, someone that I knew or just known of, and I just knew it was a deeper connection, you know, offered us this bigger flower pot. And then, you know, we took the one previously where the flower that was beginning to outgrow its flower pot, like its environment, it needed to be repotted and resoiled. And I'm just giving y'all this analogy before I go, but it was just the beauty in how sometimes when you remove yourself or relocate it to a place and it seems like everything could be against you, and, you know, all these things going on in your mind, whether anxiety or whether you're trying to get clarity of something, this is where the gratitude, to see how far you've come presently. Gratitude can shift your whole environment. I'm talking about simple as being grateful for your health, being grateful for your breath, being grateful for just being there, and just the simplest things you can find to be grateful for. I mean, just to say you got a socks, shirt, $1, $6. Yeah, I ain't ashamed, you know, when you handle business and stuff, shoot, I ain't ashamed to say, like, look, man, I handle this and got, you know, yeah, $6, yeah, boy. And then sometimes, you know, no attack on no one else, you richer than some other people in the world right now. Some people in the negative. I was telling someone, I was doing some research, if I get back on this flower story, that a lot of people don't realize a lot of these companies are in the negative. These big corporations are in the negative all year long until around these so-called holidays that people celebrate, where, again, all this fear, all this propaganda, all this stuff is pumped into you, and then all of a sudden it's programming around all these holidays where pretty much they just drain you, you know, emotionally, mentally, physically, to go out there, all this hard labor you don't experience just to go out there to buy all this stuff that you really, honestly, just my perspective, that you really don't need. You may want it, but you don't need it. And this is how a lot of these corporations and A lot of these things prey on the wounding of humanity. It's like they know you don't need it, but you, again, due to your emotional imbalance or your deep insecurities or being focused more physically than spiritually, your spiritual well-being, your emotional well-being is not balanced or it's not healthy. So you'll purchase or get things that you want from a place of insecurities or emptiness, or from a place of, a lack perspective, knowing that emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you don't need it because it's coming from an unfulfilled place. And so most of these corporations will throw all this stuff in your face, wanting you to, again, put yourself back in this lack aspect or certain things as such. And rather than being very mindful and aware of, whether you save it or just being more conscious of how you use it. So a lot of this stuff has been exposed now just for that said purpose. But getting back into the flower aspect is that, we was gifted this bigger pot for the flower. And it was the beauty of just seeing how, seeing what you really needed. We didn't, we didn't really want to repot it, but we needed to. This is going back to like what you need. We didn't want to, but at the same moment, it was needed for the plant to live and thrive and prosper. And so it's like, relate that to your life. And so what we did is, like, it was a bigger pot, it stood up higher, and we had to get more dirt. We had to repot it and so forth. And just in that's how some people will come along in your life to be of support. And if you're open to it. And see, that's again going back to abundant mindset or lack, to where sometimes we can feel like, oh, what are really our internal beliefs on how we view life in itself. And so with that, as we were repotting it, my princess was helping me dig some dirt, whatever, and repot it. And just the beauty of, like, just teaching someone so little and so young the importance of, like, letting go of the old and then, renewing or, creating a whole nother environment. And I could just relate that flower to myself, because I was like, wow, it needed this. It needed to be replanted or repotted into a more bigger environment. And now, with another plant we had, we used the other big pot where the previous plant was in and just recycled that and put it there because it was outgrowing its own pot. And just seeing it now, it's like it changed the whole energy and perspective on life, on how, again, sometimes we need to be relocated, removed, or reminded of who we are. And it's not that it's not the same flower, but it won't be the same in its environment again. It is going to expand even more. It's going to grow even more because it's in a bigger place. And some of us can move or go places in somewhere where we're not familiar. And, but a lot of things had to do with creating more security. See, that plant was not going to be secure in a smaller pot. It had to be in a bigger pot where it was more secure, and its roots had to expand. Therefore, when the roots expand, then therefore the flower would expand. That is showing you how internally, when we face things and when we clear out things within ourselves internally, then we can expand our outer appearance or physical or how that looks externally. So things, what I'm saying is, happen inside out rather than outside in. But that's the illusion, or that's what we've been programmed to believe, is that, oh, we got to do everything outside first. No, the inside is just as important and vital as the outside. That's what the balance is. We got to take care of just as much as our emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, is just as much as our physical well-being and how we show up. So the beauty of that pot and repotting it and all that, it just shows, like, now you get to see yourself, like I see that plant expand and grow more and more. So I'm going to leave y'all with that. And again, the channel song for today is Maze featuring Frankie Beverly, Joy and Pain. Check it out. Peace and bliss and shalom.